For these technical issues in starting up, but thank you so much for your time today. I see a lot of attendees here. My name is Reggie Pillay, and I'm the co-founder of MonAmI Coach, and very happy to have my friend and colleague, Mr. Animesh, who is a serial entrepreneur. I must say, I know him for quite a few years now, and he's heading up Light Info Systems and running an enterprise which is using deep technology and artificial intelligence. And wanted an opportunity to catch up and chat up with him and understand how AI can contribute in um, in a space which is so disrupted by, I mean, majorly disrupted by the COVID-19 situation. So thank you so much, Animish, for accepting this invite, and very happy to have you here.
Thanks, Reggie. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to these exciting discussions.
right,
Uh, you know,
right, great. And then just to, for rest of the attendees, thank you again for joining us. And we plan to have this discussion for about half an hour or so, and maybe at the end of it, you can please raise your questions and you share your feedback, or if you have any opinions to share, we are more than happy to welcome. So today's topic is mostly around how AI is playing a role in the current situation, which has been disrupted by COVID, especially when the when the workforce has been distributed and isolated. Right, that's the key word here: isolation, and that isolation has given rise to a lot of uh, negatives. There are also some positives, like you can see, I'm in the backdrop. I'm in my kids' room, so I spend a lot of time with my kids, which I couldn't earlier. But on the negative side, the isolation has brought stress and anxiety and other kind of mental disorders. So we want to discuss today how AI can play a role in managing and helping us through this on this phase. So that's the topic of discussion today. So the first thing that uh, I want to ask Animesh is, how do you think deep technology is working or contributing to help increase employee productivity? If you can share some use cases based on your experience working with large enterprises in and around India.
yeah, Reggie, that's a very interesting question. And as we speak, we are seeing that several of our clients from across different verticals, whether it's manufacturing, BFSI, automobile, telecom, all across sectors, we are seeing there is a huge demand in technology, around the employee, right? Because
Mm,
what has happened is the employee, typically we were used to giving a lot of hardware infrastructure, actual physical buildings, physical PCs, and all of that to any kind of a technology worker.
mm,
But with the COVID scenario, especially, what we have seen is, all that is pretty much become redundant, right? Uh,
okay.
the new world, it's a new norm out there. Nobody's, talking about actually giving any hardware or giving, that cup of coffee, served on a table, or the water filled with, the jug filled with water, but
Right.
it's more about how much cloud can we allocate and how much can we give, virtual networks, and can we give them more tools, and more non hardware related stuff, but which
Mhm,
is actually, which can they can access from their homes, whether it is out of Ichalkaranji that they're working, or on a beach, on the Konkan coast, or up on the Garhwal Hills, right? So, how can we take the office to them, and in that, also we have seen whether, and then empowering them, access to, for example, their core systems within the enterprise, right? If it's a bank manager, he needs to have access to his core systems, and
mhm,
then we're seeing a lot of AI, because and deep technology coming into play there. where we are able to give very controlled, restricted access, to every employee to their systems that they are anyway privileged to access, to carry on with their workforces, to carry on with their work schedule or meet their KRAs, and we're also seeing that this shift, and it was sort of enforced. It was anyway coming, but we expected it to be coming in by around 2023 approximately, when the shift would happen. But with COVID, we have seen that whole thing has been accelerated. If you look at the stock markets also, you'll see that the company like Zoom, or all these other companies that are actually showing huge return on investments, because all of these tools like the one that we're using now, and when you take AI, when you match this with AI. So today, I was speaking at the NVIDIA GTC a couple of months ago, and there we were exposed to technology where, when right now, even though you're looking away from the screen, we can do the AI to adjust your face in such a way that you're actually staring at the screen. So
That's interesting.
yeah, so we can, so there are different there are amazing technologies out there, which sort of helps people, helps people work better from home, and access their systems. So at NLP bots also, we've seen that a lot of inquiries are coming up, where people want to access their systems through Microsoft Teams, for example. They want to access to systems in some cases through WhatsApp, and in a very secure fashion, so that that the data is also secure, and at the same time they're not disconnected from their enterprise, right? Totally. And of course, that also brings us, I think, to the other end of the problem, where now the fact that you're not dealing from your enterprise even when you're at home, whether how good that is. And because now the whole issues, the age old questions of work life balance, and when does a holiday start and when it actually ends, and how do people control that. And that we are seeing, we are seeing a lot of challenges in that respect. So would you like to shed light more on that, because you're from that domain? So
Yeah,
maybe
so
make
I'll
it.
tell you a personal story. I've been a business traveler for many years now, right? And the last one was a 3-week trip to the United States, and I was doing one state every day. And on February 24th, I still remember the date. I came back from my last trip from the US, and till that time, as a working professional, I had my own calendar, right? My day would start at a certain time, it would end at a certain time, doing certain things. And then my wife, who's also working professional, she had her own calendar. My kids who go to school, they have their own calendar. My mom, who's a homemaker, she has her own schedule. And we would all work through the schedules and share time with each other during the weekends, late in the evenings, early in the mornings, and those things like that. But after the lockdown, all these calendars merged together, and suddenly everybody was doing everything, doing the same, within the same bubble, as I would say, right?
Yeah.
So initial days were a bit of chaos, confusion. Uh, I have a meeting with my management at 11 o'clock, but at the same time, my daughter is at home and she's going through the classes, and my wife is attending a team meeting. And my mom wants to watch her favorite serial on the TV, right? So,
A lot
so
of bandwidth at 11 o'clock.
a
Huh?
lot of battles at 11 o'clock. That situation was, and then I have a pet, and somebody needs to take him to walk because he's just 5 months old and things like that. So it started with chaos, and then we started to work around and we tried to set up things and things like that. But what it happened, what my personal story had been that I, being a people person and loving to meet people, I felt totally isolated. Um, uh, for my business needs, right? And that isolation led to frustration, and then that frustration led to dip in performance and productivity, and so much so that I just said, let me just take a break, right? I just took a break and started connecting with people at a more emotional and a personal level. So that's been my story. I'm sure many of these uh, people working in the enterprises, especially in the IT field. I'm not sure about BFSI or in manufacturing segments, but especially in the IT field, they've also felt the same frustration. So that's when we thought, this idea came to my mind that probably, and I discussed with my other co-founder, um, Priyanka, and we just thought, I mean, we are going through this issue, and I'm sure thousands and millions of enterprise workers are going through the same thing, and they need help, right? So, and that's when we started working on the concept of using artificial intelligence and creating a human network around it, and worked on a product which we call as MonAmI, which is literally means a friend in French. So
One
that's what our journey has been right now. So that's my personal story. What was your story as an entrepreneur who's on a growth path, a rapid growth path? You have I know you started off with 2 employees around 2.5 years back, and now you're more than 100, and you're still growing at a rapid pace. So what has been your story as an entrepreneur during this COVID situation, and how did you uh, work through these challenges of engaging with your employees, keeping them productive, have the reach out and the personal connect as well?
Yeah, so it was very, since the beginning of March, before actually the lockdowns were imposed, we were pretty much, we pretty much figured the way that things are going, that where it's going to lead. So then we immediately switched, uh, took a lot of steps to ensure that that transition would be smooth, and then I think from the second week of March itself, we shifted employees home. Some actually physically carried their desktops back, every one of them got a virtual cloud, and everyone was already transition to work from home. We give them the set of instructions, that they need to follow, and stuff like that. But what you very correctly said is what we totally missed out was these aspects, that when does your workday end, when it begins, and again, what happened was another very interesting thing happened. Our productivity actually increased, which is typically a very good thing, but it also raised concerns, like are people working extra hours, and is it because is it stressful for them, and long term from it, and it's having stressful people. So, but even if you talk from a very practical productivity perspective, also it's not going to sustain, and that's going to be a problem. So we try to do a lot of activities, to keep them engaged. We try to encourage them that if you need to, take the help of any counseling or anything, feel free, try it out. And we try to also incentivize, we also try to get the teams to uh, proactively push them towards counselors and stuff like that. But we
So,
realize that.
sorry to interrupt there. I mean, since we are at a interesting juncture, since you pointed out, I was doing some research while we were working on the product concept, and some interesting data came up. I mean, that's lots of data that came in, but one that hit me was a survey done by Workforce Intelligence and Oracle across 11 countries of interviewing 12,000 employees across levels, entry level to senior management. And it said that 60%, 68% of the people who were interviewed, they were happy to share their mental health problems or personal problems with a bot instead of their managers, right? They're okay to share it with the bot. And there 80% of them are prefer a bot over a manager. Now
Okay.
that's that's a very startling
Yeah,
thing. So
I
why
remember
do you
that
think
those numbers. Yeah.
why do you think that could be? I mean, what is it that AI brings in? I mean, is it the confidentiality part? Is it the privacy part, or the one-to-one experience? What is it? What do you think, according to you, is the reason for that.
Yeah, exactly. So as I was saying, when we try to tell, so first of all, if you tell people go see a counselor, it's like it's not that good thing to say, right?
Yeah,
So,
in India,
yeah.
I'll be a little politically incorrect here. We call them mental.
Yeah, yeah. So that's a very, and not only that, and the minute you say that to somebody, they will go on the defensive, and when actually your intention was good, that you need to be more relaxed, and why are you getting so worked up? It's okay, it's no big deal, and we'll get through to it together, and these, because a lot of, especially because being in the AI NLP space, the lot of requirements start coming up for bots, for report generation tools, which can be automated. Till now it was like, there used to be a question of ethics, that we're taking away human jobs and stuff like that. But then over a period of time, it became reality, right? With COVID, especially, that, that whatever, whichever part of the human cognitive realm that is being used, that can be done by a bot, much more efficiently, need to be done, like helping employees, with all their basic needs, helping them to access their systems, on a chat mechanism, or getting emails automatically answered, customer queries automatically taken care of, all of those aspects, right? So our workload increased. When our workload increased, it also meant that our teams this, and because they were all distributed, we've set it up on the GitHub in such a way that everybody is able to measure their own contribution into the platform, right? So we set it up in such a way that everybody can see how many commits they made today, what was their progress, and all of those things, right? Each one individually. And that also gave that also brought about a lot of competition internally, which was good. But then again, like I said, we were working much harder, producing much more, with in much lesser time, and that would be taking a toll, on the employees. So we wanted to make sure they're happy. And then when we try to tell them, like I said, that was not working out fine. Then is where, when we heard about you guys, when MonAmI came in, and we thought that this will be the thing that and we can see a lot of traction and a lot of interest, that people are, because now they know that they are talking to an encrypted end-to-end system, where it's totally private, where they can speak their heart out, and the AI will tell them, give them exercises, recommendations, activities, and all the stuff that MonAmI does really well. And if there is a need, when an AI tells you that, hey, let me connect you to some real humans, that might help you. And it's not only for a negative scenario where a person is just mentally disturbed, but it also could be, I need coaching in, let's say, negotiation skills, right? And then MonAmI connects my employee to a coach, who specializes in negotiation skills, for example, right? And then the employee and that coach can take on their conversation further. So what we have seen, and like, I'm sure that survey makes a lot of sense now that you say the numbers, because yeah, people are much more comfortable talking, knowing that it's an encrypted, secure system where I can speak my heart out, where I can say what I'm grateful for, where I can say what challenges I'm facing, which always keeps a check on me, how is my mood, whether, to very good degree. So all of these things, I think, really helps, and we want to incorporate even, the latest modules that you've come out with. I think you're coming out with a financial advisory.
Yes, yes. So what we're trying to do here is, so uh, uh, our idea of MonAmI, as I said, it literally means a friend, right? In in French. And whenever we think of a friend, the first thing that comes to our mind is, apart from fun, is trust.
Yeah.
Right? So we have built our product to ensure that this is one promise that we will never compromise: the trust of the users. And the second promise that we are trying to offer through MonAmI is interest, right? Which is a personalized interest. So MonAmI would be serving to Animesh personally, as per Animesh's interest, right? So if Animesh needs, Animesh is pretty happy, excited and would like to plan 3 years down the line about his career, so Animesh would be connected with a life coach or a business coach, right, which can help. Right? If Reggie is struggling in this chaos, trying to keep his bearings, so Reggie would be connected to a counselor, right, who can help Reggie with, let's say, parenting aspects of his life, or stress management aspects of his life. If Reggie is sort of, needs some help on the financial aspect of it, and he is not sure, in these uncertain times, how do I plan my finances ahead? So he can be connected to a financial advisor. So MonAmi's interaction with every person is first based on trust, and second based on the personal interest of that particular person, right? And that's where we are taking help of AI. And what we have found is, this is coming out great, right? Because what we are seeing is, as the conversations are building between the bot and the person, the cognitive abilities of AI is taking over, and the conversations are getting better and better and better, right? So that's what we are seeing. So but that comes to, I like to pick from my 20 years of experience working with a lot of L&D groups and HR groups across the world in Fortune 500 companies. One of the biggest challenges that HR leaders have is to correctly and to get the correct and the current state of their workforce. Right? There are systems through which you can get metrics, like HRI systems and learning management systems, and learning content management systems, and the works. But these are all lagging indicators. Right? There is very few leading indicators through which they can assess the correct and the current state, and then plan future interventions on the basis of firm data points, right? And insights. So how do you think AI can help HR leaders, to get this kind of insight, even through at the backdrop of a chatbot? What kind of interface, or the dashboards that we can throw up?
So it's very interesting that you asked that. So see, typically till now, HR didn't have visibility on that aspect. You know why? Because anonymity, right? So
Yes.
it's a dead giveaway. If I tell my HR that I am having issues and I feel like jumping out of buildings, HR will just not hire me, right? It will not say that we need to give you a why don't we connect you a counselor, or or it will not report that suicidal tendencies are higher in our workflows, right? In our
Right.
workforce, right? So, but that's where a friend like MonAmI, which is an AI algorithm, can help a lot, because now you can be very frank with MonAmI. MonAmI can keep your information absolutely personal and private and secret and confidential, you know, and depending on the country and the laws, it need not even open up ever, to certain systems, right? Having said that, MonAmI can give a very good feedback, unbiased reporting to the HR without mentioning names. So it's a system that will totally be able to help the HR, with all the information that they require, about the overall health of their teams, without compromising on data integrity, and having very good understanding of their systems. Okay. Having said that, we see that it is much better interactions right now, and we don't know. I mean, and we hope to increase that efficiency from an AI perspective, to be able to give employees, or the HR teams, more insights, when it comes to the NLP bots, and basically it's not just, it'll be all sorts of transactions that the employees do. So whether it is, how often they're scheduling meetings, with their peers, how often they are, asking for salary slips, how often they are. So basis all of that, the HR will have a generic idea of what's happening within the company, but it will not be able to go specific. And I think that's one of the key differentiators, And which is what, once the HR has an understanding that, okay, a lot of people have started asking for 3 months of pay slip. So it means only two things, which means that either a lot of people are in financial trouble, they're asking for applying for loans, or they want to switch jobs, and in both cases, HR knows, will have good inputs on what steps they can take to ensure that neither attrition nor financial comfort is affected, right? So these are just some ideas which uh,
Meaningful and actionable insights is what these things can throw in terms of trends and by spotting the trends through the conversations that are happening. That's awesome. Uh, do you think, Animesh, AI is? I know this is a very loaded question, but do you think AI is ready to fully take over the human interaction in the employee enterprise relationship, or do you think it's today a great enabler to the human networks?
in the employee system interface, yes, but in a peer-to-peer place, no, not yet. It's very far from that. In fact, we don't know if we ever ideally want that situation also to come by. But in an employee to system place today, systems know how to understand our natural language, and they are able to take instructions. You don't have to code or give them a particular command line, to be able to get a system started, or to be as, for example, we're working with some companies in Germany that are talking about actually, starting production on an assembly line through a WhatsApp, natural language interaction with the machine,
Oh,
right? So with 5G coming in, with all of these new technologies that are out there, it's normally not a single technology that makes such a big change, right? It's normally a convergence of multiple technologies.
right,
That's, like we have seen in the previous eras also, it's electronics and computation, right? So that's when you get a good computer out there, right? Or if in the era previous to that, it's the IC engine and the wheel, right? So both of these would only make sense in a combination, right? It's not in isolation. They are pretty lost as a technology, right? So again, now when you see with 5G coming in, with AI NLP coming in, so you have the connectivity, you have the computation, you have the computational power, which today, teraflops of computing power is available for, trying out data use cases, and practically for free, where a lot of large cloud providers, are happy to, if they see an interesting startup or a concept, they're happy to invest in terms of cloud and, all of that. So in that sense, if you go to see, it's a beautiful world that we live in, where, AI, where there's a convergence of so many technologies, which makes so many amazing things possible, right? So
right.
which were not even imagined before. So in that sense, I think it's but you tell me, Reggie, in terms of, when it comes to the employee well-being space, what do you think, and your interaction so far, and you're getting good traction, from large consulting companies, and you're already implementing at quite a few of these places. What do you think is the best outcome in the employee well-being space when you marry AI with, with with uh, counseling, let's say, or
Right. So,
connecting.
so what we are seeing is that AI as a technology, along with the device that is the mobile, right, which is nothing but it is an extension of the human body today, right? It's now no more a separate device. So AI through the device, what we're trying to do is to give a personal experience to employees, right, to share the feelings and things like that, and support them. We are still relying heavily on the human networks, like the network of qualified coaches and certified counselors, and we have a large network of those people around us. We have a large network of financial certified advisors around us. So the point where uh, the AI connects with the employee is to engage and travel a journey and provide certain activities or interventions. And when they think that this is beyond the AI's capability to take it further, the conversation is handed over to a human, right? And then the AI would follow up, right, and check, and that's how the conversation continues. So it is not completely driven by AI, because we understand that technology with good human interventions is the way forward for employee well-being. Our The goal with MonAmI is to be able to first gain the trust of the employees, keep them engaged through generating interest through various activities, and then provide right interventions at the right time, right, which is personalized for employees. So that's what we're trying to do. So we completely believe that the power of human counseling and the power of human touch is here to stay. But what AI can do is probably do a better diagnostic, do it quickly, do it at the right time, right? And that's where the combination comes in. That's what we're trying to see here, and
So let me
that's what.
challenge you on that then.
Sorry.
Or let me challenge you on that.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So if you'd say that the human touch and the human counseling is here to stay, um, who would you define as the best counselor?
Who do I define as the best
As
counselor?
the best, let's say a counselor.
Well, there is nothing called as a best counselor, because it's either an effective counselor or it's an ineffective counselor.
Okay, who would you define as an effective counselor?
It is subjective, right? It works for me, but I know where this is leading to. So, so maybe in a decade's time, I am taking a long shot. Maybe you'll have a shorter timeline. Maybe in a decade's time, with all the cognitive training that would happen, right, with the bots about human psychological, you know, uh, aspects of it.
Why all? See, just take. So, what is a counselor, a good counselor, effective counselor, like you said? Let's say that he or she needs to go through a lot of reading material, needs to read a lot of books on therapies and all the different kinds of therapies and all those kind of stuff. And let's say the other part is, of course, experience. When you treat your patients and you see the results and put that together, and now that is one person, one counselor with whose basis on his or her understanding what they have read, understood, and started treating and seeing the results of that, right? So if I
Yeah,
compound that to 50,000 of them, right? And then if I train all that on an AI model, right? So you have the all what the 50,000 counselors have read, and all the patients that the 50,000 counselors have treated, and all the feedback, how well they have adapted to that, and and all the profiles of, let's say, these 50,000 counselors treated another 500,000 or 700,000 patients or respondents, or and then, so with all of their data also in the mix, don't you think that if we just amalgamate that and we are able to train on that, you'll get like the best, the most effective, counselor for a particular thing, vis-a-vis one person with his or her limited learnings and his or her limited experience, at best some coffee table discussions with some other
of
counselor.
course, of course, of course. I just think that it would not happen in a decade's time. You think it can happen in 2 years' time, so that's where it is. But principally, I agree that is the best. One, and then that's the fear also, right? Have you read Homo
So
Deus?
that anyone, so yeah, I think, yeah, Reggie, before we continue, I think we're also out of
Yeah.
time. So we'll continue. So why don't you also contribute to the conversation? So if anybody has any questions or any statement, it may not even be a question, but if you have any statements that you would like to throw and challenge at any of us, or contribute to this discussion also, feel free to type it in the chat or in the Q&A, and then we'd like to bring that up as well, right? So just feel free to push that in as well. I don't think in this format it allows for us to actually listen to you, but I think you can type in the Q&A, and then we'd love to mention you and then take that discussion. Yeah, Reggie, sorry, you were saying.
Yeah. So I was referring to Homo Deus, the second book written by
You all know
uh,
Harari.
Yuval Noah Harari. So humans are going to create gods. So yes, so yeah, I mean totally agree. We could have a god-like counselor.
Yeah.
Sorry, uh, I was just looking at the chat.
Then I'll push. Then let me challenge you on the other way around.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. In the meantime,
It's a Friday, anyways. Anyways, it's a Friday. You can take all the pot shots.
yeah. But in the meantime, we got a question from Deepak, I think.
Mhm.
Given the security challenges with WhatsApp, etc., what's the guarantee of privacy?
Yeah, I could take that off on the MonAmI side. So MonAmI is not uh, only WhatsApp centric. Though we have a WhatsApp trial, instance for people out there to try it out and gain their own experience and make a decision. But MonAmI is omni-channel. So that's number one. Number two is that, as I said, the promise is to the first uncompromising promise is to maintain the trust of the users. So what we're trying to do is with deep encryption, not taking named users into the system. That's how we plan to do the manage the security challenges. How it is technically done, probably Animesh can share more light on that.
Yeah. So there is no security challenge, with WhatsApp. Let's be very clear. There is no breach of security or anything. The only thing is WhatsApp apparently needs your permission to sell your data, in the sense your preferences or your, what kind of friends you have, and maybe some parts of that uh, to their other division, which is Facebook, so that they can give you more customized ads and you can buy more stuff that you actually don't want, right? So that's as far as the, so it's not actually a security. So this is a question that is Deepak has asked. So in answer to that, Deepak, they don't have um, a security challenge that way. It's still a very private, secure server, and end-to-end encryption is there, which means that if you're sending a message from WhatsApp to another user, only you and that other user can actually physically see that information. But having said that, WhatsApp will know who those other users are who you're sending messages to. What is the frequency you're sending messages back and forth, your location, and what are the, and through all of those, through your common groups, and if some of them are tagged on Facebook, what your preferences might be, and so on and so forth, right? Those are the kind of challenges. And having said that, so it's the I think MonAmI also, and most of NLP bots, wherever we have implemented, it's independent of channels. So you could create your own channel. You could have it on secure channels, like we have partners like work apps, which have their own private, communication channels on which you can host all of these things. So yeah, so it's totally dependent on the customer, which channels they are comfortable going with, and we can work with on any of those. And I think Deepak also has another question asking me whether that humans have an X factor. Can a bot actually replace that? And not, um, okay, being data being. So I think that first, second part is already answered. There is, so security is more in the interest. So like you saw today, with WhatsApp, making you accept something which anyway they were doing. They just wanted your permission now to do that, which as per a government mandate, they just said that, okay, we'll take their permission and do what we were anyway doing. So, but there is no, so the guarantee is the fact that if there is data, if it's very simple, because all these services are free. So like you saw the shift from WhatsApp to Signal, and this is only because of that one message. But if one piece of message of WhatsApp, if it was found, or anybody in the world can crack it and publish that, yes, Reggie sent this message to Animesh on WhatsApp at 5:45 through an external source without having access to Reggie's phone or my phone, then overnight everybody will shift to another medium. So and WhatsApp will not be able to sustain itself. I think that answers your question. So don't worry. So in that sense, we are all pretty secure. It's only whether, the questions, those security concerns are from a broader polarization and AI perspective, right? So for example, WhatsApp wants to know, I mean, Facebook wants to know what Deepak likes because it wants to feed you that and sell you products, in that domain, so that Deepak can come back and be a regular customer of Facebook, right? And WhatsApp, right? So in that sense, it wants to customize your experience. But what's happening is, because of that, there is huge polarization happening, because finally, from an ideological perspective, you might be left or right. From a religious perspective, you might be Hindu or Muslim, or from a, whatever, all these. So it just sort of polarizes people to their own, to their own corners in a boxing ring, which makes it very dangerous. And I think those are the concerns, more, rather than them wanting to know if I should see a counselor or not, or what is the data that I'm accessing and stuff like that. I hope that answers your question, Deepak. But yeah, and Reggie already answered the part within MonAmI, and that last part is the, humans have an X factor. So you take that X and multiply it with another X, and then the bots will have that factor, whatever it is. But having said that, yes. So there might be, you might, some people might still want to talk to a real human, and those will be really smart individuals, that will have much more to offer than what they're offering today. And they will, they will also, they will be charging premium, much more premium than what you get today, because there'll be much fewer of them left around there. And you will be, if you want such a service, you will have to be so confident that whatever AI that you're getting, the solution from this one person is at least equal to that. It cannot be better, because it will not have that much of experience and training as a human, but it might be able to add some, um, some other comforts that, that maybe the relaxing chair in your house does not come with. But there'll be a lot of other things that, that
Right.
that
So there's one more question that has been shared by one Shri Krishna Ganeshan, and it's a very interesting question. He asks: is there is a lot of body language and other communication like voice tone when you talk to a person? How do you plan to address that in MonAmI? And second question is: does MonAmI address GDPR? So let me answer the first question. As of now, that's the most interesting aspect. Even the X factor that Deepak mentioned earlier, body language and voice is just part of that X factor, right? So right now, MonAmI does not address that, but as a roadmap of MonAmI, we do plan to integrate voice-based technology to bring in the more human side into the bot, right? And in the future, with 5G technologies coming in, we could also bring in the body language aspect by having 3D avatars, right, or holograms, right, that could be powered by AI, which could give a feel of a person, right, which again, it would be powered by a trained bot. So all those possibilities are right there, right? At this point of time, to begin with, AI is just we are just following the chatbot supported with human networks right now at the back end, like coaches and counselors and financial experts and things like that. And that's what MonAmI started its journey with. So in the future, definitely we would make use of voice-based technologies and 3D based technologies to bring in that human factor, X factor. Um, uh, GDPR, since right now we have launched the product in India, we have not yet taken it out into the Western markets. So we have not got into the GDPR, but yes, we are in the process of following some of the GDPR aspects in MonAmI when we plan to take it out into the
Yeah, but
Western
GDPR doesn't
markets.
actually apply here, because it's a very closed user group that you'll have. You'll know typically the users will only, restricted user access will be there, and there'll be total anonymity anyways when you're interacting with the users, right?
Yes, it really doesn't have that much of governing space, if I may use that term, for MonAmI. So at this point of time, MonAmI is like it's a combination of deep technology plus the human side of the business. I hope that answers your question, Shri Krishna.
Great. So I think, yeah, so while we're waiting for some more questions, I don't know, I think Fatima has a video that she'd like to share. So I just stop our videos and then Fatima, it's over to you.
Yeah, so while you are seeing this on the screen, Keval Rawat had a question. Can you share a link to download MonAmI? So here is the number. It's a WhatsApp number, Keval. You can add this to your contact list and start having a conversation with MonAmI. It's a free trial account, and we'll be more than happy to uh, get your feedback. And to all the participants, please feel free to try out this number on your WhatsApp and share your feedback and let us know what you think. And if you want to have a further conversation, more than happy to connect with you. Please drop in a line at MonAmI website, connect, and we can take the discussion forward.